A big hello and welcome. It's Kate from Zen Stitching, and I'm super excited to be joining you today for another one of our artist chats as part of the Making Zen series. Today, I'm super excited to be joining Isabel Wilder in her studio. Isabel, hello and welcome.
Hi, Kate. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for being part of Making Zen. I'm super thrilled that you're able to join us.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm super happy to be part of the retreat this year, and I can't wait to show everybody the video. And I hope everybody gets a lot of from it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure they will. And that's one of the reasons why I'm excited that you are part of Making Zen because of the creativity that you bring and that you have as part of your life. You have created many beautiful things that I have seen. But to take a step back, would you like to share some of your creative journey? Did you always know you were going to be an artist?
I guess it's just that when I was little, I didn't know, but I was always inclined to drawing since a very early age. I was always drawing and I loved art. My favorite subject at school was when we had art class, and then in my home, my mom was a seamstress, a professional seamstress. So I was always surrounded by fabrics and she was making beautiful clothes for people. So that was also like a window for me, a door for me to get into the creativity. And slowly I just started going into sewing, and that took me away from drawing. And then eventually I just decided to study fashion design, and from that point on I just kept on going towards that route.
Yes, it's really fascinating, isn't it, to kind of think about the progression of how a creative journey works. I find quite often it's a series of serendipitous events that kind of leads you from one step to the next to the next. And I
Yeah.
love hearing that you studied fashion design. Do you still do much in the realm of fashion design these days?
No, not much really. It's kind of hard to do it here in the US. This is where I'm living right now. I'm originally from South America. And while I was in Ecuador, I did do a little bit of fashion, and, clothing and garment making. That was actually how I learned to feed people and gave me an opportunity to learn about feeding bodies. And of course, seeing my mom making clothes, I was one of her helpers in the whole process too. But now I don't, because it's a little bit difficult to make clothes for people, and charging for that is hard. With the everything is ready to buy in a department store, that when if I wanted to make something for somebody, it will be they will be in shock to see how much something will cost. So I only do for me. I sew for myself clothes, and I do like to design still. Ideas go in my head. I like to sketch them. I'm a big sketcher. I love to have my sketchbooks, and that's how I put my ideas that I would love to have the time to make things. But since I don't have the time, at least they live in my sketchbook. So, yeah, but I do. When I worked at the Washington Opera, I did have a chance to do, we were making costumes. So that was also involving garment making. Not much fashion, but it was period clothing.
Mm.
But so yeah, I have progressed into a different place. I'm now more involved into quilting, and I guess I've done a little bit of a lot of stuff. Like I've done fashion, I've done accessories, bags. So now, since I discovered quilting, that has changed the view of what I want to make. Like I just love the idea of the possibilities that you can do with fabric. That is not just making garments or bags. I mean, you can actually it's like creating a painting with fabric, and also with stitching. That's something else that I discovered in Peru. Actually, we lived in Peru, and that's where I discovered embroidery. Though I did a lot of embroidery when I was little, I went to a Catholic school in Ecuador, so the nuns, we always had to do some sewing, and the nuns will have us doing hand stitching and embroidery. But then it's like a lot. Now it's resurfacing, but it kind of got lost. And when I went to Peru, I lived there and seeing all the amazing work that the people do there with wool. They use wool for embroidery. And then I took some classes with some teachers there, and that's another thing that I love is embroidery too.
Oh,
Yeah.
sounds like you've had such a fabulous journey, a textile journey throughout your life with watching your mum make clothes, which is where I'm guessing a lot of the kind of seeds were planted, so to speak, for your
Yes.
textile journey, and then having the wonderful opportunity to learn stitching at school. Um, I I don't think it's taught much these days in schools anymore, and I think it's such a shame because, it's not only is it teaching you something practical, but it's good fine motor skills as well, and
Yeah.
the, hand-eye coordination, but also focus and concentration, which, I think is a bit of a dying art form in today's age, where we've got lots of things kind of vying for our attention. But
Right.
then you're moving on and you've done these beautiful or experienced learning in Ecuador and Peru, right through to where you are now. It's a rich tapestry, as they would say. And I'd love to know, was there any pivotal points throughout your journey that made you, say, change focus from the garment making in the opera, which sounds like a fabulous experience as well, and kind of redirected you towards the quilting?
Yeah, I think it was when I was in Peru, and then I was just I'm still on my own journey. Still trying to find myself where is I'm gonna land. I feel like I'm traveling still, but I think it was when I was in Peru, and I just took a class to learn to quilt because I knew how to sew well, but when I got into that class, I realized that I didn't know how to read the patterns, the instructions. All these letters looked weird and instructions. So after I did that, I just love the fact that you can have pieces of fabric that you cut and the geometric shapes turn into something else, in a heart, in a flower. And then I discovered improvisation quilting, which is much more uh, free. And I think at that moment, and then when I came to the US, to our home, then I joined a group of ladies that do art quilts, and then I was like, okay, there is so much you can do with fabric, more than making garments, and I just feel like I can connect personally. I can connect more with a piece that is artistic, it brings your emotions, involves your emotions, than making a garment, which I love. I love to make a garment and wear it. I'm so happy every time I do that. But there is definitely a different connection when it comes to having an idea in your head and using the techniques of cutting and the techniques of stitching, adding stitches, using color and textures and all of that. So I think it happened in Peru. In Peru happened a lot of stuff for me in my journey because I was also doing a little bit of surface design to learn to design fabrics. And I think the reason that I got involved into that and slowly I got into quilting too is because of our style of life. We got to move every so often from country to country. And initially, surface design for me was a way to maybe keep being creative without the need of having a post office that I can count on, because I have an Etsy shop, and I was selling accessories and things that I made. And every time I moved to a country, I was like, I gotta find the post office. I gotta trust that the post office is gonna work, and always a little bit stressed. So that got me into surface design as a way maybe of starting to do things digitally. And I think that led me to finding quilting. And then I'm not doing anything digitally now because I'm all hands on. But yeah, so that all that happened in Peru.
Oh, how fascinating! And I love hearing the journey, and it's quite interesting, isn't it? It's those little nuances like being able to find a post office or thinking about certain things that will really kind of change our trajectory and
Yes.
where we're heading. And I can't help but admire talking about the improv patchworking, the patchwork banner, I guess you'd call it, or wall hanging that you have behind you. I think it's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. That's with improvisation cutting. And that's what I really love to do more than traditional quilting. Since I discovered that, that's like it has opened like a new way of seeing how you can transform fabric into something. Yeah.
Yes, it's quite interesting, and like you say, the difference between say traditional quilting and the improv, which just I guess I mean both have got lots of merit, but for me, who is not a quilter, well, even though I aspire to be, I just don't think I can do the traditional because it has to be so perfect and getting all
Yeah.
the squares and the points and everything like that to meet. Whereas with improv quilting, there does seem to be a little bit more freedom and flexibility, and maybe there are less rules in a sense, would you say?
It is. It is. It's completely free, which is that's what it's so nice because nobody tells you exactly what you have to do. So yeah, it's a little bit scary also because you don't know how it's gonna turn out. But once you start doing it, and the more you practice, it's just. And for me, I really love it. I mean, I love traditional quilts; they're beautiful. But the matching of the seams, yeah, those that's a little bit stressful for me.
Yes.
Uh, yeah.
Me too, me too. And and I admire people who can do it because I think it's a definite skill and way of working that is elusive for me anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and looking at the quilt behind you, it makes me wonder, where do you find your inspiration for what you like to create?
That's a good question. I love nature. I love flowers, and I like to observe a lot. So I guess nature is a big inspiration for me. And but for this quilt, this was a work I did with my group in the art quilt group that I have, and we were learning about improvisation, doing squares with improvisation cutting, and that's how this quilt came up to be. Then I chose the background and all of that. So, but in general, I like to be inspired by nature, and I don't know, also textures. We've been traveling a lot around the world, so I always have some things from each country we've been, and I like to see the textures that it has, the designs that it has. So all those things are big inspiration for me. And I like to draw things. So whenever I'm thinking of an idea, I try to put it on my sketchbook. And from there, not always the things that I put in my sketchbook, they, come to life. But sometimes I flip back, and then something from like 3 years or many years back, then, it comes to life. So I advise anybody to keep a sketchbook I do believe that those ideas can disappear, but if you just grab them and put them on paper, they can they can make their way to be a real thing at some point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and color, I love color, so color can be also a big inspiration for me. And I also love vintage style. So I like to look at, I like in antique stores. I like to look at old patterns, vintage patterns. So all those things kind of, I get a mix of all of that for
Mm.
inspiration.
It sounds like you're open to many different ways of seeing the world, and that's how that comes through. And I love that you're record them in your sketchbook. So even if you don't have a chance to act on the inspiration straight away, at least you've got it there to refer back to. Because, like you say, quite often you're like, oh, that's a great idea. But unless you write it down, it can disappear,
Yes.
simply.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a sketchbook?
I do. I have a sketchbook. I have many sketchbooks in various stages of being used and worked in. And it's something that was drilled into me at art school was must keep a sketchbook, keep a sketchbook to keep all of these ideas in. And I resisted it for a long time because I was not used to working in a sketchbook. But now I really appreciate it because not only is it capturing the ideas, but it's also so nice to be able to reflect on and go through sketchbooks as like you say, you can go through something that you put in a sketchbook maybe 3 years ago and then take that idea out as well.
Yeah. 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 I also like to kind of journal my projects because sometimes you make something and it has happened to me that I make something, I can see it, and I don't remember how I made it. So I also like to journal on the process, the steps,
Yes, that's
and
very
things
smart.
like that.
That's
Yeah.
something I aspire to do, and sometimes I do, and sometimes it's a bit patchy. And whenever it's patchy, it's always when I'm like, oh man, I wish I'd written that down because, like you say, sometimes you forget the steps and but you forget the process as well. So if you're writing it down as you're going, I think that's a great way of working.
Yeah, it has worked for me. I didn't do it all the time. I just started doing that like a couple of years ago, and it
Mm.
has been really, really good for me.
Mm. It sounds like you have a wealth of inspiration around you. Do you ever have creative blocks? And if so, how do you work around them when they come up?
Yeah, of course, I have creative blocks. I think everybody goes through that. Mm, Not always you can be in the mood to be, creative. For me, just like today, after I had a visitor, and so I was taken away from, my routine and being in my sewing room. And today, what I did, I cleaned my sewing room. And when I cleaned it, it's like, I don't know, you feel the energy, at least I did. You feel the energy of your room. And that kind of kept me wanting to come back and start in a project.
Mm.
And so that's one way. Another way is just, I think, on walks, taking a walk and thinking about those things that you just, even if it's not related to your sewing, but any thoughts that you just want to push away, and the ones that you want to bring the good thoughts. I think that also helps me a lot. And taking pictures. I like to take pictures, and you know something that if I walk by gets catches my eye. So yeah, all those things. And sometimes if I can even have a blog, creative blog, even if I'm working in something. Like last year, I had to prepare for a studio tour that I'm part of it, and I was sewing every day. And all of a sudden, one day I was like, I wanted to detach of all of that. And what I did, I just started stitching something by hand without not wanting. to do it for the studio tour. It was just gonna be like a moment to relax, which is funny. I came back to sewing, but it was a different kind of sewing. It was not sewing my machine, it was sewing by hand. And I didn't have to think like it has to be perfect to be able to be sold. So I'll say that a way is just start doing something and creating something, even if you don't know if it's gonna be good or bad. But that's what I usually do. Just start something, even if I don't have an idea in mind of what I'm gonna do.
Mm.
Yeah.
I it's interesting the way you describe cleaning up your studio space gives you an energy, and I can completely relate because when you start to engage with the materials and the physical things that
Hmm.
you're cleaning up and putting away, there's something about that which kind of does spark the more ideas or revive ideas that you may have had but kind of put to one side because you were working on something else. And it makes me think of the scrap bins that I have for all of the spare pieces of fabric that I kind of put in. And changed I've changed my thinking, and instead of calling them scrap bins, they're now my treasure boxes. Because every time I pull out a piece of fabric, it has an idea attached to it. It could be a different idea each time I pull the fabric out, but it suddenly kind of sparks a creative thought.
Yeah, yeah. I totally understand that. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what it happened today. I was touching folding fabric and I just, I think that gave me a new energy. Yes.
Yes. I'd love to know, what does a typical day in your studio look like?
Ah, whew. Well, it depends. Not always is the same because, I am a stay-home mom. So if my boys are not home, I usually like to come in my room and I check my emails, and sometimes I have a sale for my Etsy store and I have to work on that. And if I don't, then I just start working in any project, that I need to. Like, so I don't know, it's hard to answer that because it varies so much. But if I'm working on an idea that I have, then I start sketching and then picking out fabrics and then start cutting and then start sewing. And then it just, I start creating this chaos in my room that I like to call a happy mess.
Mm-hmm.
And then between that, I also have to do house chores.
Mm-hmm.
So I either have to go pick up my boys from school, and then I have to cook dinner for my family, take my dog out. So all these things during the day that keep me busy. And yeah, but if I dedicate time in the studio, yeah, it's a combination of being in my work table and moving to my sewing machine and then working with the fabrics, my scissors, my rotary cutter, and playing with colors and threads. For me, my threads are very important. I don't like too much threads to my fabrics. I like the threads to be another focal point. I'm always work like that. Like even when I make my accessories, if I'm working with leather, I like the thread to be seen. So for me, threads are very important. I love color, so I like the color to pop. So that's a way I like to work. And so yeah, that's will be a day in my studio. It depends on what project I have. And soon I have to prepare again for the studio tour. I'm part of a group of artists in my community, and we open our studios to the public, and we showcase our work and we sell it. So when I'm gonna be doing that, my days are gonna be busy, with an idea, starting with an idea, and then start developing because I don't work with a pattern. I just start working, and some things I know exactly how I have to make them, And some other things is if it's a new idea, it takes more time. So it's a process of working with my sketchbook, paper, pencil, and then start cutting the fabrics and sewing. Yeah.
And would you say that you have any rituals or habits that help you get into the creative flow?
Uh, I guess I do have, I like to walk in the morning. That's something I really love. I do a little bit of yoga too, but I'm not good at yoga, but I like to do some of that too. And I do in the summer, one of my best rituals, I love to walk through my garden because
Mm.
I love plants. So I like to water my plants. I greet my flowers. That sounds a little bit cheesy, but I do greet my flowers. I love when I see one new flower, I'm always saying hello. And so that's, I always say that.
Mm.
And lately I've been trying to put like a moment during the day where I sit outside and I just relax for a little bit and just give myself a little bit of, I just say, this is time for you to just rest a little bit because sometimes you just keep on going and you forget just to slow down a little bit. So I've been doing that lately. It's a new ritual for me.
And that's such a nice one too, particularly when you have a nice outdoor space and the weather is nice. Because it's so easy, like you say, to get caught in the doings and in the makings that um,
Yes,
you forget to just stop and appreciate the what's around you.
yes, exactly. Yeah, we can see the mountains, the Blue Ridge Mountains. I live in West Virginia. So from my home, we have a little peak of the mountain. So I really enjoy that.
Mm,
And
mm.
yeah,
Yeah, and I'm sure that all kind of flows into your inspiration as well with the sounds and the colors and the sights and the smells as well, just through the stepping outside and having a contrast, I guess, from the outside to the inside and being busy
yes,
slowing down.
yeah. I also like to take out my shoes when I walk in the yard. That's another thing that I really love is a
Mm.
connection to the earth. It's nice.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's something to be said about walking barefoot either on grass or on sand or something like that. It really does, like you say, helps you feel grounded.
Yes, and I miss that a lot in winter. And sadly, our winters here are really long, much longer than. So we have our cold, season is really long compared to our warm season. So yeah.
Which it makes getting outside and enjoying the warmth and the sunshine when you can even more important.
Oh yes, yes, that's what I've been keep telling me these days. I guess that's what I started going outside and look at, enjoy the view. Because in like a month and a half, we're gonna go back into cold weather. So I keep telling myself, remember to go outside, sit outside for a little bit because you're gonna be in winter thinking, I wish I had done that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Some of the things I like to do in a similar kind of thing, just to kind of like embrace all of summer, is I have a little list of things that I like to do to really appreciate summer. And one is making a point of eating summer fruit because, it's
Ah, yeah.
so delicious and so special and sitting outside and enjoying the garden. That's another one too. What's another one? I think it's watermelon is an important one on that list because it's, for me, such a
So
summer.
refreshing. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
So there's a handful of things. Going for a swim, that's another one because, again,
Mm.
very easy to kind of get caught up doing
Yeah.
this and you kind of like forget to just slow down and enjoy those simple pleasures.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We have a river nearby too, and this year I've been taking my dog. So it's like a thing between my dog and me. We go for a walk near the river, by the river. So
Mm,
that's something else that I like to do. And
mm.
I can keep doing that through all the even when it's cold, we go out and do that.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure your dog appreciates that immensely as well.
Yes, yeah.
Is there anything that you're currently working on, Isabel, or something that you're dreaming about making that you're excited about for the future?
For the future, but yes, I'm actually working on a personal project that is a temperature quilt. It's also it has evolved. It started as a temperature quilt where I was recording just the temperatures, but it has slowly evolved to be like a journaling quilt because I'm adding stitches. So every day I record the temperature of the day, the high and the low, but I'm also adding something significant of my day. So today is going to be this call with you. So somehow I'm going to put that in my little square.
Oh,
And, I'm looking forward to see it finish. So I'm on month 8th, August, and I have four more to go.
and so when you're saying you're doing a temperature quilt that's kind of moved more into a journal quilt, is it one square or block a day for a year, or what kind of parameters have you set for yourself for that?
Yeah, it's 1 square per day, but it's a 2-inch square.
Mm.
And so I do it every night. And it's a square that is divided in the middle. And in the middle, I add a little piece of fabric with the high temperature is in the middle, and the bigger space is the low temperature. And then I embroider whatever, or it started with embroidery, and now I'm moving into applique, even painting.
Mm.
So it has evolved, and that's what I like about this project, because I didn't know at the beginning. If you see January, it looks pretty simple, and slowly it has built up. I add also birthdays of my friends and family, so I put an initial of the people's birthdays. Um, so yeah, so yeah, those are the things that I follow. I do it at night, and then I record something with embroidery, applique, or drawing about something important of the day.
Mm.
And it's like a little ritual at night that I have.
Yes, that's
And
so lovely.
yeah, I really like it, and I like to see it, growing, and it's that I have kept on doing it, even though if I'm tired. Though sometimes I have left days go by, like 3 days, and then I'm like, I gotta go. I don't like when that happens. I like to work day by day,
Mm.
but sometimes,
Yeah.
something happens and I can't. And also when I go out of town, my squares are all made by hand. Like even the strip in the middle that I put is all sewn by hand. So if I see the quilt, I know when I was traveling just by looking at how
How
the little square is made. Yeah.
that's fun
So,
and so delightful that, like you say, as you're working on it and as you're progressing through it, it's kind of adopting and growing and kind of changing by painting in it and or stitching on it and just kind of adding extra bits as you go, which I think would help add to the interest of creating it as well, because it's kind of you've achieved one thing by adding the highs and the lows, and now you're adding more detail in as well, which makes it maybe even more personal, would you say?
yeah,
Mm.
it's very personal, and I can look at it. I go back and look at March, and I go through each day that is a square, and I remember what happened that day, that it was important. So it has become a really nice project for me, and it's been like a challenge, a personal challenge, to put the time. During the day, I know that I have to do that. So it's to be consistent. It's teaching me to be consistent and keep up, and you see it growing. So it's like in life, if you do something, then you achieve something. You get to see something that has grown, but you've worked it little by little. So Yeah, so I will say that's the biggest project I have now. Of course, I have I don't work in just one project. I'm also working in different kinds of projects. So I have many right now on my plate. And one of them is to record the video for the Zen retreat.
Yeah. Which I'm
Yes.
super excited for. And I can't wait to see what you're going to share with the Making Zen audience. And I know they're going to have such a fabulous time and be inspired by what you share with us.
I hope
Isabel,
so.
oh, I think they will. I really think they will. And it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. I could chat with you for much longer, but I am mindful of your time. Thank you so much
Yes.
for joining me and having a chat.
Thank you, Kate. This has been wonderful. And it's just so amazing to be in totally different countries in time zones and be able to chat. Thank
Yes.
you so much.
Thank you for joining me in this creative journey. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And if you'd like to learn more about Making Zen, please check out the links below where you can find out all about the workshops, creativity, community, and all that kind of good stuff. Wishing you many happy hours of stitching.